My husband looked me straight in the eye and said, "I can't keep lying to myself. Your sister is the one I really want to marry." Asterisk hello everyone. Before we start today's story, I have a small request. Please subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new video on our channel. Your support means a lot to us. Where are you watching from? Leave your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's get back to the story for a second. I didn't even understand the words. They just hung there, quiet, heavy, unreal, before they crashed into meaning. I blinked at him. At the man I'd shared my bed, my meals, my future with for almost 7 years. Andrew didn't even flinch. His tone was steady, like he'd practiced it in his head 100 times. I laughed. I don't know why it wasn't funny. Maybe my body just didn't know how else to respond to the sound of my marriage ending. "You're serious?" I asked, the laugh still shaking in my throat. He nodded. "I can't fight it anymore. Bella and I. It just happened. Bella, my little sister. The one who used to steal my clothes, my makeup, my secrets. The one our parents always said was special. I thought of her bright smile, her dramatic hugs, her constant need to be adored. And I thought of him, my husband, falling for that same performance. My vision blurred, not from tears but from disbelief. "So what now?" I asked quietly. "You want a divorce?" He hesitated. Maybe he thought I'd scream, throw something, or beg him to stay. But I didn't. My voice was calm. Too calm. "Fine," I said, standing up. "Let's get a divorce. Then you can have her." He stared at me surprised. "Clara, don't be like that." "Like what?" I snapped. "Like someone whose husband just confessed he's in love with her sister?" That shut him up. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. The kitchen clock ticked too loudly. The smell of the dinner I cooked, his favorite, lasagna, suddenly made me sick. I turned off the stove, grabbed my phone and car keys, and walked past him. My hands were shaking, but I kept moving. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me fall apart. "Clara, wait," he said, his voice softer now. "You don't understand." I turned back just long enough to meet his eyes. "Oh, I understand perfectly. You want to throw away 7 years for something shiny and new. Just remember, shiny doesn't last." Then I walked out. Outside, the night air hit my skin like ice. My legs felt numb as I made it to my car. I sat there for a long time, gripping the steering wheel, staring at the dark street ahead. The rain started to fall, soft at first, then harder, like the sky was letting out what I couldn't. I didn't cry that night. Maybe I'd run out of tears. Maybe I was still too shocked to feel the full weight of it. But deep down, under all the numbness, something in me stirred, something small and fierce that whispered, "You're still here." I didn't know what would come next. I just knew I couldn't go back inside that house. Not ever again. The woman who walked out that night wasn't the same one who'd made him dinner an hour before. That version of me was gone, and I wasn't sure who I'd become yet, but I was going to find out. Before everything fell apart, I thought my life was simple, not perfect, but steady. I was 31, a quiet woman who used to find comfort in routine. My name is Clara, and for years I built my world around my husband, Andrew. I used to work as an accountant. I was good at it. Numbers made sense to me. They were predictable, unlike people. But when Andrew's design business started to take off, he said he needed me home more. He wanted warm meals, clean laundry, and a wife who could focus on family. I quit my job. At first, I told myself it was love, a shared dream. Later, I realized it was sacrifice. For almost 2 years, I tried to get pregnant. We went through tests, appointments, needles. The IVF treatments drained me, physically, emotionally, financially. Every failed round chipped away at something inside me, but Andrew always found a way to make it about himself. "Maybe it's not meant to be," he'd say, or worse, "maybe this is a sign we're doing something wrong." When his design clients started disappearing and projects slowed down, he changed. The man who once held my hand through everything began to pull away. He snapped over small things, called me too sensitive, and spent more nights staring at his phone than at me. Then came Bella, my little sister, 27. Beautiful, confident, and magnetic in a way I never was. She worked as a fitness influencer, posting pictures of her abs and smoothies, earning money through brand deals and sponsorships. My mother adored her. "You should learn from Bella. she'd say over the phone. She knows how to take care of herself. Look at how radiant she is. Radiant. That word stung. Bella and I were close once when we were younger. But she'd always been the center of attention, the golden one, the loud laughter at family dinners, the one boys noticed. I used to think it didn't bother me. Until she showed up at my doorstep. It was early spring. She stood there with red-rimmed eyes and a suitcase. I just need a place to crash for a few weeks, she said. I broke up with Jake and I can't stand being in that apartment anymore. Andrew was the first to say yes. Of course, he said, his tone warm, his smile polite. Stay as long as you need. I remember feeling relief. Maybe having family around would bring some light back into our house, distract us from the failed IVF. The quiet resentment that had begun to fill our evenings. I couldn't have been more wrong. At first, it felt normal. Bella cooked dinner with me, filled the house with music, laughter, stories about her followers and fitness clients. But I started to notice the little things, how Andrew smiled differently when she was around, how she laughed a little too loudly at his jokes, how he dressed better when she joined us for breakfast, and every time my mother called, she'd ask, "Isn't it lovely having Bella around? Maybe she'll teach you a few things about confidence." I used to nod and smile, pretending not to notice how something inside me tightened every time Bella brushed past Andrew in the kitchen. I told myself I was imagining things, that my sister would never, ever betray me like that. But deep down, something in me was already bracing for impact. It started with a message. Late one night, while folding laundry, I noticed Andrew's phone light up on the couch. Normally, I never looked. I trusted him, or maybe I wanted to believe I still could. But that night, something inside me whispered, look. The message was from Bella, a heart emoji. Then, I can't stop thinking about what you said earlier. My hands went cold. I scrolled. Dozens of messages, inside jokes, half-flirtatious lines, voice notes from her late at night. One message from Andrew read, "You make me feel alive again." I don't know how to handle this. My breath caught. My chest ached so badly I had to sit down. The room blurred. For a moment, I convinced myself there had to be an explanation, a misunderstanding, something harmless. But deep down, I already knew. When he came home, I waited. I didn't cry, didn't shout. I just asked, "Do you love her?" He froze. The silence was long, too long. Then he said quietly, I don't know what to call it, but I have feelings for her. The world tilted. My sister, my husband, the two people who were supposed to be my home. I remember laughing not because it was funny, but because I couldn't process the pain any other way. I told him to pack his things. He didn't argue. He just said, "You don't understand how lonely I've been." That night, I drove to a hotel. I couldn't breathe inside that house anymore. The next morning, I filed for separation. I didn't tell anyone, not even my mother, until I had already moved out. 2 weeks later, I found out I was pregnant. For a brief moment, hope flickered again. Maybe, in some twisted way, this was the universe giving me something back, a reason to keep going. I imagined holding that child, raising it strong and kind, never letting it feel unloved. But stress has its own cruelty. Between lawyer meetings, hospital visits, and sleepless nights, I started bleeding. I lost the baby before I could even hear a heartbeat, the doctor said. Sometimes these things just happen. But I knew what caused it: heartbreak, betrayal, and the unbearable weight of pretending to be okay. When I told my family, my mother sighed instead of crying. Men make mistakes, she said. Don't throw your marriage away over one bad choice. Your sister didn't mean to hurt you. I stared at her, unable to believe what I was hearing. She slept with my husband, I whispered. Mother just shook her head. You've always been too dramatic, Clara. Maybe if you had paid more attention to him. That was the moment something inside me died, the last fragile thread of belonging I'd held onto since childhood. I went home, closed the curtains, and let the silence swallow me. For weeks, I barely ate. I'd wake up crying, fall asleep crying. The house felt haunted, not by ghosts, but by memories that refused to leave, and somewhere between the tears, I made a quiet promise, if I ever found the strength to stand again, I never let anyone make me feel small or unworthy ever again. The divorce papers arrived on a quiet Thursday morning. There was no fight, no shouting, no last-minute plea from Andrew. I signed every page without looking back. I didn't want the house, the car, or even the furniture we had picked together. I only wanted peace, and peace, I learned, often comes when you stop clinging to things that already burned out. Andrew moved in with Bella 2 weeks later. Their relationship went public fast. Photos of them laughing in cafes, working out together, taking selfies, all over social media. Bella wrote captions like, "Sometimes happiness finds you where you least expect it," and tagged him with a red heart. Every time I saw their posts, I felt a sharp sting but also a strange numbness. It was as if my body had already exhausted every ounce of pain. There was nothing left to hurt. I left our big house behind and rented a small one-bedroom apartment on the edge of town, cracked walls, thin curtains, and a faint smell of dust. But it was mine. For the first time in years, I didn't have to apologize for taking up space. Finding work was harder. I hadn't been in the job market for a while, and my accounting background didn't help much without recent experience. Eventually, I took a cleaning job at a local gym, not glamorous, but steady. The first few weeks, I mostly kept my head down, mopping floors, wiping mirrors, emptying trash bins. Watching other people train, laugh, and push themselves felt like looking at another world, one that used to terrify me. Then one day, Linda, the gym's owner, caught me staring at a group doing squats. "You should join them," she said with a grin. I laughed. "Me? I can barely climb stairs without wheezing." She shrugged. "That's exactly why you should start." So I did. I started showing up earlier, staying later, asking trainers questions. At first, I couldn't even lift 5 pounds without shaking. But something changed inside me every rep. Every drop of sweat felt like reclaiming a part of myself I had lost in that marriage. 3 months later, Linda asked if I'd ever considered becoming a certified trainer. I thought she was joking. She, WASN single quotes T. She helped me sign up for a weekend certification course, even paid half the fee. Studying anatomy, nutrition, and movement fascinated me. It wasn't just about fitness, it was about rebuilding myself. Piece by piece, when I passed the exam, Linda gave me my first class, a group of beginners. I was terrified, my voice trembled, my palms sweated, but I showed up, and they came back. Again and again. Because I didn't just teach exercises. I understood what it felt like to start from zero, to feel broken, to need someone to believe in you. Soon, people started asking for me by name. "Claire's classes are tough, but she makes you feel strong." One evening, as I locked up the gym, Linda smiled at me and said, "You're not just cleaning this place anymore. You're building something." I realized then she was right. I wasn't surviving anymore. I was rising. By the next spring, my life had completely changed. Clarifit Studio started as a dream scribbled on a napkin, one I never thought would become real. Linda and I found a small corner space between a cafe and a florist, painted it bright white with green accents, and hung a simple sign: "Strong women, strong lives." I poured everything into it, savings, time, energy, every ounce of hope I had left. The first few weeks were slow, but word spread fast. People didn't come just to lose weight. They came because they said I made them feel alive. Within 6 months, Clarifit was full every morning. Clients hugged me after class, telling me I'd inspired them to change, and each time, I felt something heal inside me. 1 year after my divorce, I met Liam. He was a soft-spoken man in his mid-30s, an investor who visited the gym looking for potential partnerships. But he wasn't like the flashy businessman I used to see. He asked about my story, not just my numbers. He listened. He admired my resilience, not my body. We started having coffee after work, then dinners on weekends. There was no rush, no performance, just calm, steady warmth. For the first time in years, I felt safe, but just when life began to settle, Andrew's name appeared in my inbox. "I miss you. I made a mistake. Bella isn't who I thought she was. Can we talk?" At first, I ignored him. Then I deleted the messages. But they kept coming longer, more desperate. He apologized, reminisced about our old life, even mentioned the baby we lost. As if guilt could rewrite history. Around that same time, I heard whispers. Bella was pregnant. She'd stopped posting workout videos and started uploading baby bump pictures with poetic captions about new beginnings. People congratulated Andrew publicly. He didn't correct them until he found out the truth. It came out quietly. The baby wasn't his. The father was Ethan, a photographer Bella had been working with for a fitness campaign. Andrew discovered messages, photos, receipts, undeniable proof. When he finally showed up at my studio one rainy evening, his face was pale and drawn. "Clara," he said, standing in the doorway, soaked from the storm. "I don't even know who I am anymore. I didn't stop cleaning the counter. Maybe it's time you find out without me." He took a step closer. "She used me." I looked up, calm but firm. "You made your choices, Andrew. Now live with them." He froze, then laughed bitterly, like a man realizing his own reflection was a stranger. "You've changed." "Yes," I said quietly. "That's what surviving does to people." He left without another word, the door closing softly behind him. That night, as I sat beside Liam sipping tea, I realized something powerful. I didn't feel pity or anger anymore. Just distance, the kind of peace that comes only when the past finally stops echoing. The months that followed felt like the quiet after a storm. That strange, heavy stillness where you can finally hear yourself breathe. The news about Andrew and Bella spread fast in our small town. Their picture-perfect life began to crumble piece by piece. He filed for legal separation after discovering the truth about her affair, and she, in turn, blasted him online for abandoning her during pregnancy. People who once admired them now whispered behind their backs. Andrew lost several clients. Apparently, no one wanted to hire a designer who became the face of family drama. Bella's brand sponsorships dropped one by one. The girl who once flaunted perfection suddenly disappeared from social media. I watched it all unfold from a distance, detached, like watching a movie I'd already seen too many times. I didn't hate them. I just didn't care anymore. By then, Liam and I were planning our wedding. Something small, simple, intimate. No lavish party, no expectations. Just us and the life we were quietly building together. When I found out I was pregnant, I cried, not out of fear this time, but out of gratitude. Liam held me close and whispered, "You deserve peace now, Clara." We painted the nursery ourselves. I returned to teaching letter classes, laughing with my clients about baby names and cravings. For the first time in years, my body wasn't a battlefield. It was home. My family, however, didn't see it that way. My mother called one evening, her voice sharp as ever. "You should check on your sister," she said. "She's going through a hard time." I paused. "She caused that hard time, Mom. She made mistakes," she snapped. "But you're being cruel. You're her sister." That word, sister, hit me like a dull thud. I looked at Liam sitting across from me, reading quietly, his face full of kindness. Then I replied, "Maybe, but I'm also someone who finally learned to protect herself." After that call, weeks went by without another word from them. Then, one afternoon, I received a letter, handwritten, the paper slightly smudged. The handwriting was unmistakable. "Bella, I know I destroyed everything between us. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I finally understand what I took from you, not your husband, but your peace. I'm sorry." I read it once, folded it neatly, and placed it in my drawer. Not out of nostalgia, but closure. Some things don't need an answer. Silence can be its own reply. Later that evening, as I stood by the studio window, the city lights shimmering outside, I rested my hand on my belly and whispered to the life growing inside me, "We're okay. We're safe now." And I meant it. Andrew's name became just another memory. Bella's letter gathered dust. My mother eventually called again, softer this time, asking about the baby, her tone stripped of judgment. Slowly, the noise of the past faded away, replaced by laughter, light, and the rhythmic hum of a life rebuilt on strength, not pain. The morning my daughter was born, the world outside was covered in snow. The hospital windows were fogged, the air smelled faintly of coffee and antiseptic. And everything felt suspended in time, like the universe had paused just long enough for me to take my first real breath in years. She was tiny, with dark eyes and a soft whimper that melted every scar I'd ever carried. Liam held her first, his hands trembling slightly, whispering, "She looks like you." And for the first time, I saw myself not as the woman who had been betrayed or abandoned, but as someone new, a mother, a survivor, a creator of her own peace. We named her Elena. It means shining light. After we brought her home, life moved in soft rhythms, morning feedings, quiet laughter, gentle exhaustion. Between naps and night shifts, I went back to managing Clarifit's studio, now expanded into 2 locations across Denver. My clients, many of them women who'd once shared stories of heartbreak and rediscovery, became part of my growing community, a sisterhood bound not by blood, but by resilience. Sometimes I catch myself reflecting on how far I'd come. From scrubbing gym floors to owning one. From crying on bathroom tiles to laughing in the glow of my daughter's smile. From being told I wasn't enough to realizing I always was. Liam would often remind me, "You didn't just survive, Clara, you transformed." And I knew he was right. I no longer checked social media for traces of the past. Andrew and Bella were ghosts of another life, irrelevant to the woman I had become. I didn't need revenge or validation. My happiness was loud enough to drown out everything else. One night, after putting Elena to sleep, I stood by the window watching snow fall again, soft, steady, endless. Liam came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist, and I said quietly, "Do you ever think about how much can change in 2 years?" He smiled against my hair. "You changed everything." And in that quiet moment, I realized how simple healing could be. Not dramatic, not loud, just steady. In the final part of my story, I can finally say this. Your worth isn't measured by who stays or leaves. It's measured by who you become when no one's watching. He broke me once, but I rebuilt myself stronger, freer, and finally, enough. I used to think closure came from apologies. Now I know it comes from peace. From looking at the reflection in the mirror and recognizing her, not the wounded version, but the one who kept walking even when no one believed she could. Elena stirred in her crib, letting out a soft sigh. I leaned down, brushed her tiny hand, and whispered, "You'll grow up knowing love doesn't hurt, my sweet girl. It heals." And that was it, the real ending. No revenge. No spectacle. Just love, freedom, and the quiet certainty that I built a life that was truly mine.